So when I got to my first area, we didn't really have very much going on. I remember we had a couple investigators, but they had all been investigators for a very long time. And we had zone conference my second or third week there. And my mission president was talking about these key indicators and these like programs and things that we were supposed to be implementing. And I had never really heard of any of them. And I just didn't feel like we were anywhere close to that. So we went home from that zone conference and I talked to my trainer and we just made a game plan for how we were going to kind of revamp our area because it wasn't going super well, I guess. And so we just started from square one. We started working with members. We started visiting less active members, part member families. We talked to everybody we saw. And it was slow for sure, but I remember there was this one lady, Sister Hayashi, and her son had been baptized just a couple weeks before I got to the area. And he had come to church many times. Or like we knew him really well. We worked with him and helped him as a new member. But she was always really closed off. The one time that I did meet her, she said, like, please stop bothering me with your church. I already have a church. I don't want to learn from you ever. So please just leave me alone. And so the more we worked with her son, Taishi, the more we were thinking, like, we can't just let this opportunity pass away because she, like, obviously we're connected to him enough that we can help her. And so we just continued to try to serve him and to kind of show our love for him and our friendship for him so that she would maybe be more receptive. And so, yeah, we kept trying. And then one day we brought it up again and we said, like, do you want to start hearing the lessons again? And she kind of shut us down like she did the first time. And she just said, like, please stop. Like, I'm not interested. So then that Sunday, Taishi showed up to church and she was with him. And we were very confused by that because she had just told us that she didn't want anything to do with our church. But then she showed up at church. And so we didn't really know like what to do, if we should talk to her or just leave her alone. But after church, she came up to us and she said, I want you to help my son find a job because he just graduated from high school and he's not doing anything. And I think you guys can help him. And so we started helping him. And just through that service, she opened up a lot. And she said to us a couple weeks later, she said, I'm ready to study with you again. And so that was just a miracle to me that she went from being so closed off to being so open just through kind of the example of her son, as well as just some simple acts of service from us. I remember afterwards she told us, like, I wasn't going to give your church a second chance, but I saw my son and how he changed and how he gained friends and how he prayed and read the Book of Mormon. And to me, that was inspiring. So one day we were teaching her and we got to the word of wisdom. And she just kind of, before we had even started the lesson, we mentioned the word of wisdom. And she said, oh, this is where I'm done. Like, this is where I cannot accept your beliefs. I just cannot understand why coffee's bad or why this word of wisdom has to exist. Like, if I can be close to God when I drink coffee, then like I don't see a problem with it. And she was very, 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 what's the word? Confrontational. She did not want to hear what we had to say about the word of wisdom, and she did not want to change what she was doing. And so we tried to kind of like explain to her, but it just turned into a battle. And so we stopped and we just said, what it comes down to is whether or not you believe this commandment comes from God, or if you believe that Joseph Smith is a prophet of God. And so she said, like, I'll think about it, but she was still really angry. And so we just said, okay, we'll let you think about it. Will you say a closing prayer so that we can finish this lesson? And she said, I can't. Like, I don't feel like I'm in the right state of mind to say a closing prayer. I'll have my son do it. So her son, he said this really heartfelt prayer. And so we opened our eyes and she was just crying. And she said, I'm ready to pray now. And so she prayed. And up until that point, like, she had been receptive, but she had been also a little bit confrontational the entire time, like really defensive of her beliefs and really antagonistic towards ours. But she prayed and everyone that was there was just crying. And the Spirit just came very strongly. Like, even today, it's one of the most powerful experiences that I've ever had with the Spirit, where we all just knew that that coffee didn't matter, and that these trivial things that we were worried about weren't that important. And so she finished her prayer, and just, she didn't have to say anything, but we all just knew that she knew, and she had decided. So my companion committed her to be baptized a couple weeks from that date, and there were no problems after that. It was kind of a miracle, because we were anticipating the word of wisdom to be a huge problem, as well as tithing. But as we taught her those things, I think she just remembered that one experience where she just felt it so strongly, and she never had any doubts or problems. And so she was baptized on Christmas, actually, and her son was able to baptize her. And yeah, it was just a really special experience. She transformed from being very callous and very closed off to being super open and kind, and one of the key members of the ward. And to me, that was just amazing to see that transformation that came through the Spirit, as well as through the example of her son and through the kindness of members, but most importantly through the power of prayer, I think.